Hello everyone from Gillette AFL Trade Headquarters here at Etihad Stadium. It is the opening day of the trade period, a period which is going to go for 3 weeks now, and there is lots to tell you about first up. Let's begin with the big winners, Gold Coast and Melbourne this morning. Starting with Melbourne, they have secured Jack Viney for a second-round draft pick under the father-son rule after GWS and the Gold Coast declined to bid for him, so that is big news there. Meantime, the Gold Coast are big winners as well because they have secured Jack Martin, the classy 17-year-old Western Australian from the GWS mini-draft. They've done a swap with the Giants on that, and now the Giants will have picks 1 and 2 in the national draft. Let's hear from some of the key players.
Him going out to 26 means that we have the ability then to use our other picks to get other deals done. So that's what we'll work on right now. From here on in, we started trade day as of 10 o'clock today, so we're rushing to all the other clubs now to see what deals get done from here.
Well, if they sort of came to an arrangement with Gold Coast, the Gold Coast wouldn't bid for Viney, so they didn't have to use their pick 3, so they could then do some sort of trade deal with Gold Coast down the track. Is that all right?
If there was such a deal, it would have to be disclosed to Ken Wood, and I'm unaware of any such deal being lodged with Ken Wood.
And how confident then are you on Chris Dawes with those picks, obviously?
Optimistic, yes, so we're going to be pushing that as best we possibly can. As you know, it's been documented that we've been in play for someone like Chris Dawes, and that's true. So we've just got to push now ahead with those picks.
What about Sharrod? He's obviously nominated West Coast, but we understand that Melbourne's made a pretty bold play for him. Are you confident that he's still a possibility?
Once again, optimistic and positive.
Jack, he's been a great young player for the last 2 or 3 years. Our recruiting guys have been following him closely. He's from Geraldton, over in Perth. Very good user of the ball, great decision maker, but also really hard at it. So we think he'll complement our squad extremely well. Won't play next year, a bit like Jago O'Meara from last year. We'll play a year in our reserves team and then be available hopefully for round 1 2014.
All right, so that's that story. Another simmering story here at Trade Headquarters is all about Kurt Tippett as we wait to see whether or not this deal can be done between both Sydney and Adelaide. We can tell you that the two clubs had breakfast this morning, so a meeting before the meeting, if you like, hoping to make some progress, even though the Crows have of course, said that they want to play hardball on this. Some extraordinary claims from Andrew Ireland, the Chief Executive of the Sydney Swans today, both on the salary cap front and also in terms of Tippett's salary next year. He's telling us that Tippett's actually going to be earning less in year 1 of his contract than he was earning at Adelaide. But he also says it's offensive. All of that stuff attacking the Swans' salary cap and the concessions that they have for cost of living. Let's have a listen to what Andrew Ireland had to say, and then also the word from the Crows.
I've got to be frank that it's pretty offensive, I reckon, some of the stuff there. We've been, for the last decade, fundamentally recruited players from other clubs who weren't getting a game at those clubs. We've watched a lot of other clubs get pretty quality players, from in the system. We've got a cost of living allowance. It is clearly dearer in Sydney. Like even Eddie, who's probably railed against these things, spent some time living there and accepted it is much dearer living there. We're in a good position to be able to pay Kurt a contract that he wants. He'll play for us this year for less than what he was getting paid for Adelaide. Now, people start making up $1 million deals. The fact is, in the end, Kurt made a decision from the discussions I've had with him based on the fact that, one, I want to leave Adelaide. I love the Adelaide Footy Club, but I don't want to live in that environment.
We're not going to be displaying our strategy publicly and in the media, and we're going to deal with Sydney. That's Kurt's choice of club that he wants to go with, and that's what we're going to do.
But does that agreement exist?
We're going to deal with Sydney in good faith, and I'm not making any further comment.
David, can I ask you that...
Okay, so we're joined by our senior reporter here at AFL.com.au, Ashley Brown, who is all over the trade news for us. Ash, we have seen some really interesting stuff in the first couple of hours. Let's begin with Melbourne. They are clearly open for business now with these picks that they've got to play with.
3 picks inside the first 13, Matty, so they're now in position to actually do a bit of wheeling and dealing. You'd think they'd like to extract it, to trade at least one of those for an experienced player. Perhaps that's where the Chris Dawes trade will happen out of one of those picks.
Wellingham's an interesting one as well because we know he's nominated West Coast where he wants to go, but Melbourne have expressed interest. Melbourne have also expressed interest in Josh Caddy. Do Melbourne have a bit of a problem with players not wanting to go there even though they've got these picks to play with?
Well, I think Melbourne, we heard their list manager Tim Harrington talking before, they extracted Mitch Clark when he was set to go back home to Fremantle last year. So they've got the track record at perhaps convincing Wellington that he too should also play for Melbourne. And we've got to remember, Matty, this is 3 weeks. This is not just the 5-day helter-skelter approach. They've got 3 weeks in which to get the deal done. So we're all going to take a bit of a deep breath now and let's see how things pan out.
We actually put that question to Adrian Anderson just about how long this period is going to go for.
It's a model that we've negotiated with the AFL Players Association, and they're very keen on a 3-week window. So as with everything with free agency, we'll have a close look at the end of the period and review it. But yeah, 3 weeks, we'll see if that's the right time frame.
It is going to be a very big 3 weeks. Ash, what else should we be watching for today? All the clubs inside right now having their meetings, 15 minutes club on club, I guess is the way it works. And will we get any more results today? We've already seen a lot of action.
I think we might get a couple announced today. There's guys like Cam Peterson from North Melbourne perhaps going to Melbourne. That would seem to be fairly straightforward that might happen soon. But a lot of the discussion, as I said, 3 weeks, there's going to be a lot more coffees at the cafes around here over the next little while, trying to get things done.
The other two father-son selections that went through were, of course, Joe Danaher to Essendon and Lockie Hunter to the Western Bulldogs. Let's hear from them.
I mean, yeah, it is a little bit of relief, but more excitement, I suppose. I'm just looking forward to the opportunity, and I've been waiting around for a while now, but to get the chance to have a crack at pre-season is a really exciting process for me, and I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, we're happy to have these colours on. Was a bit nervous. Didn't know 100% if I was coming here, so yeah, it's a great result.
And just finally, Ash, both of those deals pretty straightforward in the father-son meeting.
Well, Joe Danaher, Bombs are absolutely delighted to land him. He's going to be a key position anchor for them. And what that also means now is perhaps a guy like Scott Gumbleton becomes a bit of a guy that Essendon might look to move on and have a bit of trade currency. You can't keep position forwards. There's always a market for them.
All right, Ash, thank you so much for that. Now, behind us here, you can see these are all the journalists who are working. They're going to be on the phones from all the different outlets over the next few weeks. It's going to be a very busy time. But the place to come to for the very latest trade news as it happens is right here at afl.com.au.